coming up.
They will refer to me as Wild King Nights. I would have to go and prep that hotel room.
Sean Diddy Combs, already on trial for sex trafficking.
Baby oil, Astroglide, drugs.
Now, his personal assistants.
I had to clean up those rooms.
New allegations of vile behaviour.
It was frightening. His eyes, they were just black.
That's next on 60 Minutes.
Dishonest, violent, horrible. A promiscuous swinger who lied to and cheated on multiple partners. Incredibly, that's how Sean Diddy Combs' own lawyers described the billionaire music mogul, currently facing serious sex trafficking charges in a New York court. The defence tactic seems to be this: convince a jury that, while Combs might be extremely unlikable, that doesn't mean he's guilty of criminal offences that could see him locked up for the rest of his life. As Nine's Christina Hearn reports, as risky as this approach clearly is, it's probably better than nothing, especially considering the evidence that's mounting against him. Having $1 billion, multiple mansions and a private jet is pretty worthless when you're banged up in a New York prison. For the last 8 months, a cell has been Sean Diddy Combs' home after he was arrested on sex trafficking charges.
This is about consensual relationships. That's what she's saying about all of it.
Now, a court is deciding the hip-hop mogul's fate. And if he's found guilty, it's possible he'll be extending his prison stay for life.
We out of space and we breathe each other.
The allegations against Combs are sordid and shocking. Domestic violence, rape, blackmail.
Behind the scenes, he was forcing women into sex.
And what they describe as his swingers lifestyle.
And that is just the start.
The rap mogul once forced a male escort to urinate in ex-Cassie Ventura's mouth.
For those who worked closely with Diddy, what's being revealed is an unwelcome reminder of what a scheming megalomaniac he is. Are you surprised by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
No, I'm not surprised. I experienced some of those things. Witnessed violence.
Tonight, the brave Diddy insider's finally able to tell all.
Well, the things that I experienced with him were monster-like. That stuff almost destroyed my life.
Plus the hundreds of other accusers lining up to launch their own lawsuits.
This case is shocking. It is alarming. How many people came through his orbit? How many people could this have happened to? And how did he get away with it for so long?
For 2 years, Phil Pines knew Sean Combs better than almost anyone. As his senior personal assistant, Phil was the go-to guy, a trusted confidant and keeper of secrets. He thought getting the job would be his big break into the music industry.
I was excited. I mean, look, this man is one of the most powerful, one of the most influential, so it meant a lot to me to actually have the opportunity to work with somebody of that magnitude.
What is the job of an executive assistant? What do you do?
Well, the job of an executive assistant is to staff him. 24/7, essentially, he needs staffing, unless he's asleep.
In Diddy's world, staffing included organising the mogul's over-the-top social functions. It was hard work, but at first, Phil couldn't believe his luck. He loved that the job was so eye-opening.
They were celebrity-driven parties. I happened to come in at a time where he was throwing his 50th birthday party, and they spent millions of dollars building this outside structure in his backyard in Los Angeles. And I couldn't believe, wow, I'm a part of this now. It was so, again, exquisite. It was just huge.
But the gloss quickly wore off.
as his tasks became more sinister. Phil was not only ordered to source a constant supply of drugs for Diddy, he was then forced to carry them around the country.
So we had a laundry list of items that needed to be with us at all times. You know, we'd have their marijuana joints on us. We would have the mushrooms on us. We had a kind of a Diddy pack is what they would call it. And we would keep a satchel on us, and that's what we would have in that satchel.
Always on call, Phil witnessed many things he now wishes he hadn't. He says he worked on the periphery of Diddy's now infamous sex parties known as freak-offs, although he knew them by another name.
They were referred to me as Wild King Nights. And what a Wild King Night was when him and a guest would go to a hotel room or be at his home, his bedroom, and they would have intimate gatherings. I would have to go and prep that hotel room, which consisted of baby oil Astroglide, candles, incense, liquor, lights, tons of toiletries, drugs.
Phil wasn't in the room for the parties, but he didn't have to be. He knew exactly what went on behind closed doors because one of his jobs was deleting the very incriminating videos of the Wild King Nights from his boss's iPhones and iPads.
I thought he was this clean businessman who rise to the top because he was such a powerful and, smart, educated man. I had no idea that he had this other side to him. And when I started to get exposed to his lifestyle, I started to really realize, like, this guy has an addiction. It's not just, once every few weeks, it's every day, every hour.
Hey, yo, Phil, can y'all come straighten it up over here? Not looking luxurious.
The personal assistant also became the personal maid. Diddy's sex parties meant hotel rooms were often trashed. Phil was expected to get his hands dirty cleaning up, with the priority being to ensure no evidence was left behind. No secrets could ever escape.
Initially, when you walk in, you have to start to clean up the mess and the wreckage that's left from the room. And that's the alcohol that's halfway open. Some bottles are cracked, glasses are cracked. There's baby oil everywhere on the floors in the bathroom. There's lube everywhere, half open, some of it oozing off the sides. And you have to get all that stuff, clean it up. Luckily, I would wear even a mask and I would wear gloves because it was disgusting.
Phil, what would have happened if you said to Diddy, look, that's just not my job, I'm not going to do it?
If I said that to Diddy, I wouldn't have worked there. They would find somebody else. He knows everybody. He knows what's going on behind the scenes. He knows every manager, every executive, every attorney, everybody who's important in the industry, he knows.
And Puff, where did that come from? I can't tell you that.
The implied threat was if you crossed Sean Combs, you'd never work in the industry again. He used his volatility to control his inner circle.
Savage! Oh!
His employees knew his fits of rage well. But it wasn't until this CCTV of Diddy assaulting his then partner, Cassie Ventura, in an LA hotel was leaked to CNN that the rest of the world knew what he was capable of. As shocking as this was, Phil Pine says there were other incidents where his boss was violent with women, including one time in Florida he'll never forget.
It was at Star Island, which is his Miami residence. Him and his guest were starting to argue, and they just started really, really going at it. And I just remember him pushing her, telling her to remove his hoodie. She removed the hoodie, but in between that time, he had kicked her twice. And it was frightening because I saw his eyes. His eyes, they were just black. And it just scared me. And the girl was topless. She had nothing on.
I'm gonna do a lot
As more and more reports of Combs' violence and generally vile behaviour have emerged, more and more people have felt empowered to speak. Sarah Rivers met the rapper on his MTV reality show in the early 2000s.
I have to do things that are a little unorthodox.
Like Phil Pines, back then, she had dreams of making a career in the music business. And when a contract with Diddy's record label appeared, she thought he was a god.
I like your style. You know what I'm saying? I like the way you get down.
It was like, wow, for Diddy? What? You know, that was a person that I looked up to. He was a mogul. So, and I listened to all the artists that he made superstars. And so to have a chance to be able to be signed to him, it was amazing. It was like, oh my God, I'm here. I finally did it.
But sadly for Sarah, it didn't take long before the real Sean Combs emerged. An arrogant bully who was out of control with almost everyone he encountered.
He told one of my band members, "You make me so mad, I want to eat your flesh." You know, he told one of them, you know, I can get a crackhead $20 to make him smack the out of you. So that's another reason why, like, how am I gonna speak up? And that shaped me, my mind, to be like, oh, you ain't gonna say nothing. Because if he can say stuff like that, what can he do for real?
Coming up, the moment that changed Sarah's life forever.
I didn't want to be alone with him, and that's the truth.
Why was that?
Because of what he did.
In the extraordinary effort to expose the extent of Sean Diddy Combs' behaviour, this call centre in Billings, Montana, has played a vital role.
I'm not making any comments about the case.
While the disgraced music mogul, charged with sex trafficking offences, is on trial 3,000 kilometres away in New York, here, the phones have been ringing off the hook. Ads on social media have prompted 15,000 calls from people detailing decades of alleged abuse by the rapper.
Right, allegedly, this man was doing this for a period of almost 30 years. What we have been told is he was brazen in his attempts to coerce people into these compromising sexual acts.
Notwithstanding the outcome of the criminal trial, attorney Andrew Van Arsdale is launching civil action against Combs.
We represent thousands of survivors of abuse.
Already, he's taken on 37 cases from people who dialed in to the Diddy call centre. One client was just 15 when the alleged offending occurred.
So some of these people that have come forward have been sitting with this secret for 30 years?
And so these individuals, they've been afraid of coming forward. They've been afraid of what he could potentially do to them within the industry, what he could do to them professionally, maybe even personally. And so, yes, it's been a dark secret they've held on to for a very, very long time.
Phil Pines knows their pain. He too has been keeping secrets. From 2019 to 2021, Diddy's former personal assistant helped organise and then covered up his boss's debauched lifestyle.
Did Diddy constantly test your loyalty?
Absolutely.
Was there a moment that test for loyalty went too far?
Sorry.
It's an incident that will forever haunt Phil. Something Combs made him do at one of the sex parties.
Then he says, prove your loyalty to me. And I'm thinking, like, you know, what is he talking about? He grabs a condom, rubs his hands on my shoulders, and pushes me to a guest, a female guest, that's on the couch. And I froze. I look at the girl, you know, and you know, are you okay with this? And she's, yeah. So I perform for a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I mean just a little bit. And as soon as I like kind of know that he's not looking or he's not around and he's not in my peripheral, I quickly just pull up my pants and get out of there and run downstairs and take off. I felt powerless. I felt like I couldn't tell him no.
Sarah Rivers also felt powerless when it came to having Sean Combs as a boss. She was one of the stars of his MTV reality show, Making the Band. But says she had to endure inhumane working conditions. On one frightening day, she remembers how the music mogul cornered her when she was by herself on set.
And so when I went up to the studio, you know, the MTV cameras didn't follow me coming down the hallway, and he happened to see me on his security camera. And then he just bust out of the door. He cornered me. And then he asked me, with his arm up, he asked me, "How you doing?" I'm kind of like, wow, this is, what the heck? Very uncomfortable. And then he rubbed his hand down my breast. He said, "If you need anything, anything at all, you let me know."
Even though it was 2 decades ago, just thinking about Combs's creepy and unwelcome advance still causes Sarah distress.
I didn't ask for that. I don't approve of that. I was intimidated. And then I ran out of the studio as fast as I could and left.
Did you feel you could tell anyone?
I didn't think anybody would believe me, honestly. I didn't.
But her rejection of Combs had even more consequences. After the MTV show ended, Sarah believes he had her blacklisted from the music industry, effectively killing her career.
I'm sorry, I'm just like really, I'm in this moment right now. This is crazy. I'm sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck during those years. You're still stuck 21 years later.
Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges against him and denies any wrongdoing. But lawyer Andrew Van Arsdale says the New York criminal trial is just the beginning of what will be a very long judicial process.
We have hundreds of other lawsuits being prepared to be filed. I think if he's ultimately found guilty in the federal trial, we'll see a lot more people come forward.
If he could have his time over, Phil Pines probably never would have accepted the job as Diddy's assistant. The experience led him into a deep depression. It's only now his condition is starting to improve. But he's determined to do what he can to let other survivors of abuse know they're not alone. Support is always available.
I'm getting out there and telling my story, telling my truth. There's power in it. This is like a whole huge therapy session for me because I've become so much stronger. Because it's tough. But the first step is to come forward, talk to somebody about it, get help. Sean Diddy Combs, he's one of the most charismatic individuals you'll ever meet. But there's another side to him. It's a very, very dark side. And I had to experience that for 2 years. And I'm hoping that no one else moving forward has to experience what I've experienced.
What does justice look like?
Jail time. Everyone has their day. And he has to pay for that.
Remember, if you or anyone you know is a victim of domestic violence, help is available. Call 1-800-RESPECT, which is 1-800-737-732. Hello, I'm Amelia Adams. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minute segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.